They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
Broncos country, let's sit. How are you doing today, Nate?
Doing great, Snickers. Well, I mean, I'm out, obviously, but enjoying the week nonetheless. How are you?
Doing well. I'm doing pretty good in the toilet bowl. Fortunately,
Yeah.
I wish I was in the playoffs, but I think obviously we would have beaten you and Nick Adams last week, but doing good.
Good, yeah. I mean, we had I would like to call it an exciting semifinals round last week, but both games were blowouts, as we'll get into. The bye teams did not show up, as many of you are aware. Too much rest is not a good thing, even for virtual teams.
Yeah. Now you were saying you were trying to rest your team in week 15 too, before even you got your bye, and apparently it's just a little bit too much rest.
Too much rest. Nick Adams experienced the same thing. So we have Kenny and Ducky in the finals. Or sorry, Kyle and Ducky in the finals. Two people who have never won. So that is cool. And so we'll have them on the show again today to talk about their victories and their strategies going head to head to college roommates. So that's a cool narrative there. The NFL is also somehow holding itself together, even though about 3/4 of starting quarterbacks are out for the season. We had a couple more to add to the list this week, I think. Not all for injury.
As long as Joe Flacco's there, then who cares? Browns are going to the Super Bowl against the Lions. I've predicted it 10 years ago, and it's finally happening. Here we go.
No, that's right. Those teams were some of the worst teams in our childhood. But yeah, let's look at the bracket for the playoffs. We can see here that actually, so I got the matchup right that Ducky would beat Nick Adams, but I lost the remaining 3 points because I did not beat Kyle, and I also predicted myself to win the championship. So I got 3 of the available 6 points. You got 1 of the available 6 points. And so therefore we have a tie. 9-9.
You have a tie. It's 9-9. The less famous Dolly Parton song.
Which means that we have to have some way to figure this out because Nick and I can't both win. One of us has to lose.
And we can't both lose. I mean, what are we going to do about this? How do we break tiebreakers in this league, Nate?
Well, I think Grandma Nut might have something to say about it.
Thanks, you might. We're doing Candyland, boys.
That's right. We're going to have an extra bonus episode this year. So next week, we'll have our championship recap, our season in review. We'll have our superlatives. And then we'll have an additional Candyland episode. So excited to break the board out once again, the virtual board. And may Grandma not smite me this time.
I'm going to go right through the candy cane forest and into your hearts. Here we go.
Now we're going to have Nick and Kyle on the show in a minute. But before we do, what's some of the NFL news to be aware of here?
Yeah, no, last week is a little light. This week is not. A couple people went to IR. Jarek McKinnon, stuff is kind of a waiver wire wonder last year. Jalen Waddle probably not going to play. Isaiah Pacheco still a little injured. Cortland Sutton concussion might not play. TJ Hawkinson knee IR out for the season. Ramondre Stevenson, I know he hasn't played. He's officially on IR out for the season. Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy both got hurt a little bit. Brock's probably going to play. Trev's probably not. We're going to see how that goes. And then Tommy DeVito and Russell Wilson both getting sat by their head coach. the rest of the season for very different reasons. And Jarrett Stidham and Tyrod Taylor are going to be leading their team to victory for the rest of the year. Well, Giants probably won't win many, but it'll be fun watching those storylines play out. And if Russ is the starting quarterback for the Giants next year, that'd just be insane. But
Yeah, I really don't understand the DeVito benching. I mean, I like Tyrod. He's one of my favorite backup quarterbacks, but DeVito is like getting people to watch those games. He's not good, maybe exceeding expectations, but I don't understand why you wouldn't just give him a chance to finish the season, maybe get some people that come show up to the games.
yeah, I mean, he was exceeding expectations, then he wasn't again. And then he had that whole pizza shop fiasco where he ended up making it right. I don't know if that plays into it at all, but
I don't blame Tommy for the pizza fiasco. That sounds like his agent being a bit either not keeping track of his promises or just trying to work it too hard. But DeVito, I feel like was probably not driving that.
no. But like you said, I love Tyrod Taylor. He's definitely one of my favorite backup quarterbacks in the league, and I hope he is able to get a couple wins for the Giants and keep his job for next year as well on some team.
Yeah, I'd love for him to just prove himself enough to get another backup job. Him and Jacoby Brissett should be around forever. My two favorites. Although Brissett's going to get another starting job at some point. He's playing this week as well, so I don't know.
He's starting this week, yeah. And Gardner Minshew, obviously a fan favorite, he's backup quarterback too. But no, let's get into it. I'm excited to watch some football this week.
Yeah, New Year's Eve football.
Yeah.
So it's not just college football this year. I think that's probably why they added this week, because people are getting together and now they'll have football on. But let's welcome our guests today, Kyle and Ducky. All right, welcome you two. We have two people who have never won before, fighting it out. I know you've been in the finals before twice, Nick. 0-2, correct?
I believe so, unfortunately.
Kyle, you're 0-0. How are you feeling about getting this chance to play for the chip?
Yeah, this is uncharted waters here for the Foo Cuddly Poops. I think I have 2 fourths. That's my best finish. I feel like I don't know if I've been in the league 5 or 6 years at this point. I probably only made the playoffs half of those years, and I've never made it to the finals. Never even reached the podium. So we're already it's already the best year in franchise history this year. So
yeah, well, last year was the year where you were the odds-on favorite. You were dominant the whole regular season.
Yeah.
And then just I don't know if it was the wild card round that got you out, but no, I think you had a bye.
No, I forget who I beat, but I did win a wild card game, then lost in the semis, and then lost in the consolation.
Was that the infamous semis where you and Katie combined for like 120 points?
It was ugly. I remember it being pretty ugly. Yeah, I had no running backs, and then the next week I think I played Kyler in the 3rd place game, and that was the Damar Hamlin. Like I had like the entire Bills roster, and that game gets canceled. So I put up like 30 points, but it really didn't matter. So
no, but I'm happy that you're here. Welcome to the club. I know me and Nate have both been in the finals before. Nate's 1-1. I'm 2-0. Ducky's 0-2. So you got a chance to get in the club here. But Ducky, how are you feeling finally being back? You feel like every 3 years you're in the finals? Is that it?
Something like that. I always have like a really weird team where it usually falls apart either at the very beginning and I'm really bad, and then like last year put it together, go on a run, but just have to go through too many tough matchups. Or I think a couple of years ago where you go 7-0 and then your just entire team dies and miss out on the playoffs. But I'm sweating this one a little bit. I was really hoping Nate was going to squeak out a win just because matchup wise, I don't really want to face Tyreek and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that trade with Snickers, Kyle, seems to really have put your team over the top. I mean, maybe technically you would have won without him, but it does make your team look much scarier now that he's back.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, like you said, even if I had Jay Flowers, I still probably would be in this position. I really didn't need all that much to beat you last week, Nate. But yeah, certainly Definitely adds a scary factor to my team having those two guys. And
Hashtag
I think
Jeff.
just I was gonna say I think just looking at my $69 guy already has a touchdown tonight, so we're off to a great start.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Let's look
actually
at
have.
last week's matchup here, Nate.
Yeah, since we already started talking about it, you did destroy me 140 to 101, one of my lower performances of the year. And it was just that the timing did not work out for my team. People did come back from injury, but it was not ideal. Like Nico, he did get 12 points, but he was not having CJ Stroud throwing to him. No one actually really did terrible. It was all mediocre performances.
Except for DK, third.
Yeah, Dalton didn't exactly do well.
No, he didn't. But I mean, tight ends, I kind of, you always have to allow for that. I picked up Hunter Henry. He ended up not playing, so at least I got him out of there in time. I benched Austin Eckler, which ultimately didn't make a difference because Chuba scored 2 more points than him. Didn't matter. Isaiah Pacheco had just a mediocre game. So yeah, it really came down to that your team just had actually performed, and my team was just going through the motions.
A little too rested.
A little too
Yeah,
rested.
we showed up. I think we were projected for like 140, 142 heading into the week, and put up 140. So made ESPN look pretty good.
Yeah, even with the double tight ends. I mean, we'll hear from a little bit about what you're going to be making the decisions about tight end. You have the tough tight end decisions. Ducky has the tough quarterback decision. And for a little while there, it did look like actually though that Baker was going to be the right decision to play. Turns out you made the right call, but
I know my team.
No, Bake was baking
I got the
again.
pulse.
He was looking good.
Yeah, he's playing well. No lie, definitely playing well in real life football right now for sure.
And he's a real locker room guy, so I think it's really good to have on your bench there.
Good for morale.
But then we had the other matchup, which was even uglier than ours, between Ducky and mid-tier Nick, who's not here to defend himself. But what happened here, Ducky?
I mean, my team's always just kind of been that sitting around 120, 130 range. So they just came, they played their normal game. The Rashad White trade is absolutely paying dividends. I was kicking myself a little bit for benching Puka, but in the grand scheme of things, a win's a win. To defend Nick a little bit here, I can't believe he was 10-4 with the team he had, to be completely honest. Travis Kelce has been a shell of his former self. The Jacksonville team has been garbage the last, 5 weeks at this point. So ETN getting 5 points, not entirely surprising with how just poor they've been. Denver, I wouldn't want to starting Cortland Sutton.
No, Sutton almost got injured really early in the game too, so that was rough.
James Conner and DK Metcalf are probably the only 2 starters he has, and Brock Purdy, that I would probably be okay starting. Obviously, if I was to put money on the line, I would not have put money that Brock Purdy scored under 10 points in that game. I thought that was going to be a much closer game, but Baltimore just squashed them. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some injuries didn't go his way, some uncharacteristically bad performances, but I mean, Travis Kelce did beat out SLP this week, so
he did. He did.
I've
come to conclude that I think Sam Laporta might be top 3. I don't know if he's top number 1 anymore, but they're just so inconsistent. He'll drop me 30 points one week, which I think he did in the first week, which is what I needed to beat John. And then he'll follow that up with 5 points. So,
yeah, I mean, 3 touchdowns one week, you're not going to be able to replicate that the next week. So, I don't know if he's really a big yardage guy. Has he gone over 100 much? Maybe once?
I
touchdowns.
I don't even know if he's gone over once. I think he's just he's gotten like 90 yards once.
Yeah,
but he gets touchdowns. He'll get me 2 touchdowns and like 20 yards and just put up like 18 points.
No, another guy on your team, K9, Ken Walker. Another guy last year at least was getting a lot of touchdowns, and that was his whole upside because his yards per carry is not great. How do you feel about keeping him in this week? And
Yeah, so that's
points
part of the challenge this week. It's am I going to get the flex right? And if the track record shows, I'm going to go with no. I have not gotten the flex right. I'm actually, to be completely honest, despite Kenneth Walker playing Pitt, I'm debating on whether I bench Derrick Henry. He got 20-something rushing yards against Houston last time. I think this game will be way out of reach for Tennessee early on. Plus, are they even trying to win the game at this point? Or are they just going for that draft pick?
Definitely a really good point. I know historically, Derrick Henry has owned the Houston Texans, meaning 200 yards and 3 touchdowns is about his average. But the last earlier this year and last year, I think the last game he didn't do very well. So it's definitely a tough decision. Obviously, he's going to be one of the best players on the field, but getting Puka in there, getting anyone else might be a decision there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Puka's going in the flex. It's just who am I going to bench for Puka?
What about you here? What about you here, Kyle? You know,
Yeah, well, apparently
top 4 have been leading you here, but
yeah, I kind of screwed up in a slight way. I guess the decision has already been made because I probably should have moved Jerome Ford to my running back spot and moved one of those running backs down to my flex just in case an injury happens. But Ford's locked in, and it already looks like he's exceeded his expectation in the first quarter. So I think we're off to a good start. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? What's the game? Jets. Browns. Who would have thought that'd be a shootout? But look at that, 13-7 first quarter. Man, do you believe in miracles?
Jets Browns has a lot of history. After Browns went 1-31 over 2 seasons, their first one came Week 3, Baker Mayfield against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. I was watching it on an airline television, and Baker won the game. That was the first win in about 2 years, so that was really fun to watch. They always have pretty much stinkers, but this time they're both. Well, Jets aren't good, but they're both looking good. They're both playing well, and $69 Jerome Ford. Good decision.
Yeah,
if he wins you the week, it'd be worth it just for that.
Yeah, for sure. I know I have a high projection this week too, but it's a lot of it goes to my punter. Who's I don't know if I've ever seen a 13-point projection for a punter this season, and he's currently at 0. So we'll see if he picks it up. Maybe the one downside if this game does turn into a shootout would be fewer punts.
He had a 20-point week 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and since then he's been going 6 or 7 points. So I know you're sticking with him because he's one of the best punters, Hall of Fame consideration. But I'm really excited for this matchup, guys.
Yeah, we finally get to see the SLP versus T McBee matchup at both at 10.9 points projected.
That's wild. I didn't even notice that they were both 10.9. I got to expect Detroit's going to show up to play. Dallas, I think, is going to be coming in swinging after not getting embarrassed per se, but losing to Miami in a game that I don't think they should have lost. So I'm betting. I'm going for a high scoring game here. Another 30-point week, 3 touchdown game from Laporta.
And you're not thinking of playing for Trey McBride against Philadelphia? You don't think he's getting 3 touchdowns?
I don't think that Arizona is going to get too much going. I heard CJ Stroud just cleared concussion protocol, which is good because I don't like any of the matchups, especially since I don't even think they're playing Mullins anymore.
Nope, Mullins is benched. Jaron Hall is coming in to start this week. Just announced.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Nick Mullins made the Vikings fun to watch for a couple weeks. Why go away from
his last throw last week, though?
I didn't see it.
That was a quacker, man. Duck City.
Oh my god! Like if he had thrown like a halfway decent throw, I'm pretty sure that's a touchdown, and that thing was just a fat ball just floating over the middle.
No, I guess I know he has had a high interception rate, and I'm sure that's what's driving their decision.
Actually, the highest in NFL history, but yeah.
Really?
high yards, high interceptions. He's a
He reminded me a lot of Jameson Winston, which is why I was okay with what he was doing. He was getting me the points, so I didn't really care from a fantasy aspect, but it was something about watching the guy go like, Mark, give you 100 yards, 1 touchdown, and like 3 picks in the first quarter, and you're just sitting there like, okay, well, let's see what he's got for the rest of them.
Yeah.
But he has a higher interception rate than even Nathan Peterman did in the pre-Josh Allen days.
Nate Peterman, I think, has not played enough football. In one game, Peterman and Peyton Manning have the record for 6 interceptions thrown in the game, but Peterman hasn't been in enough games to get enough percentage there.
Now, who are you calling in this game, Snickers? Neither one of us have any stake in our bet because we didn't call these teams.
Right? No, you guys are both the underdogs here. We didn't think you'd make it this far. And looking at the matchups just across the line here, you got to keep going. Ducks winning a couple here, but I think Kyle wins more of the matchups across the board. And it's can AJ Brown and Rashad White and Sam Laporta drastically outscore their expectations here, or CJ Stroud can throw 400 yards again. But I got to lean Fufu Cuddly Poops here. First championship in his first try.
I hate to say it, Ducky, but I think I agree with him. I'm going with the projections too. The Tyreek killed Justin Jefferson. Well, Justin Jefferson actually is a little scarier now that who's playing for them? Dobbs?
Jaron Hall.
Oh man, I don't know anything about him. But
the rookie.
Yeah, but Green Bay doesn't have a defense.
Right, after they suspended their best defensive player for calling the coin toss wrong. That's the funniest story of the entire season.
Well, that wasn't really the story. It was that he wasn't supposed to call it in the first place, but he decided to go out there because it was his hometown.
Right. And he had a hilarious interview.
He defended himself, I'm pretty sure, after the fact.
He did. And Jair is a great player. I love him so much. He's very, very good at what he does. And his interview was great. And I want him to do that again. That'd be amazing.
I didn't understand it at all. He, for some reason, thought it was ironclad. Like, yeah, it was my hometown, so they probably meant to put me in.
No, coach probably forgot him for Charlotte. Like, don't worry about it. It's no big thing here.
I will say though, I definitely appreciate you guys' faith in my team. But I definitely think two worthy teams made the finals this year. I think there was some outcomes that could have happened that obviously would have been legit, but maybe would have put some lesser teams in this position. But I definitely think on par. I mean, you can make the case that John's team, certainly, I don't know if you guys went over it earlier, but putting up almost 200 without a kicker last week, you could say maybe John deserves to be here and me out. I think on balance for the season, we definitely got 2 of the top three or 4 teams in the league. I think are compete for the title. So I think that's what you always want to see.
And one thing I want to throw out to our stat trackers out there, I don't know if we have an actual stat, but John's won, I think, 5 or 6 games without a full roster this year, and that has to be a record.
I believe it.
Such a John stat.
So shout out.
Yeah, John also doesn't have any championships, but I think he would have at least 2 if he set his lineup every week.
He definitely would have had one.
Here's the thing. If he had set his lineup against you, we'll just say in that one instance, because that's the only one I can really think of this year, where he lost and he wins. He gets a bye. He doesn't lose to me and then absolutely fleeces someone next round. He would 100% be in this spot.
He would have faced you in the second round, right, Doug?
I think it turned out that like the seeding doesn't change. It just knocks Nate down and into John's spot, and I would play Nate in the first week and then just get absolutely mauled by John in the second week.
Yeah, you would have destroyed me that week. My team, I set the lineup just for fun, and it scored like 80 points because of all the injuries. So, no, I agree that these were 2 deserving teams. This has to be one of the highest projected point totals. Just the 2 teams up around 140. Kenny's team was in consideration for worthiness, and obviously John's team. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how it pans out over New Year's Eve.
I'll say this: if AJ Brown can actually come and perform, I'll feel a lot more confident. He was kind of my ace in the hole during my little bit of a little streak in the middle of the year where I was just kind of putting up some insane numbers, and he has kind of disappeared in the playoffs, and it's been killing me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit more on the Devonta Smith side recently. I'm not sure what's been up with that, other than that their offense does seem to be operating a little bit differently. I don't think Swift has been quite as good either.
No, Philadelphia in general, I think, is just maybe been exposed, and deep teams are starting. I mean, the fact that the Giants gave them the run for their money, I know they still got the W, but you can't. If you're a Philadelphia fan, you can't feel confident about that win.
Yeah, I mean, they do have an easy schedule to finish out the season here with Arizona and then Giants again, so they're probably not losing any more games. But yeah, AJ Brown really should show up just to stop Tyreek Hill from running away with the receiving crown by so much. Trying to get within 500 yards of him or so.
Is Tyreek actually on pace to break 2,000?
I believe he's
I don't know
on
about
pace.
2,000 anymore, but he could still break Calvin Johnson's record.
Against the Titans, I think he only got like 47, and then he didn't do too much against the Jets, but he might be pretty close though.
I mean, people have been getting some like 250-yard games this year. If he gets one of those, he's back on track.
Yeah,
I think he could be in for a big week this week. Something I did want to bring up, sort of a bigger picture point. I think I speak for probably most people, probably everyone in the league. We're saying that this is definitely a great idea for you guys. Definitely appreciative of starting this podcast in the first place. I definitely think it has added a lot to the league over the first 2 years. However, over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of slander of different teams in this league. You guys have been not afraid to throw out hot takes, and I think combined over the 2 years between the two hosts, 0 playoff wins. So just think about that next year before you slander any team. 0 playoff wins between the two hosts. Podcast.
That kind of talk only encourages my behavior.
I thought about that a lot because I've never missed the playoffs until I started this podcast. So we'll see if I can get back on track next year. Definitely.
You've had back-to-back number one picks, and back-to-back year, your number one pick played for you. I want to say 3 weeks each time. Like I don't think JT played much last year, and then you traded Justin Jefferson before he came back.
Right. No, not much work last year. And number one pick's definitely a trap out there. But
are you planning to take the number one pick this year if you can have the option, or you think it's cursed now?
I'm playing for the first choice in picks this week if I beat Kenny, but I probably won't take the number one overall pick. We'll see how it goes, though. Just a little too much going on because for last season they came out with that new stat that showed you what your average position finishing the league was, and mine was second place. So I'm coming back down to earth a little bit here.
Yeah, I think this year the right pick seemed to be around 4, 5, 6. All those teams fared very well.
5 was probably the best one. I speak from my big money league where 4, 5 was about where you had the option to take CMC and still be able to come around. In that league, I had CMC, Amon Ra. So in a normal league, that's probably your sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, my pick didn't work out at that spot. I think I had the 4th or the 5th pick, but it didn't matter that Austin Eckler was bad.
But I mean, you take Eckler, and Eckler does worse than he's like a Jalen Warren. He's getting those stats.
Ironically, though, even though Christian McCaffrey scored like hundreds of points more than Austin Eckler, I think my season ends up no different. I don't beat Kyle. I got the bye anyways. So
I guess that's true, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you get to one more win, although you get the bye, and you're on this. On the other side, you still lose to me.
Yep. So interesting. But that is all we've got. You'll be excited to watch those games with you guys this weekend. And Happy New Year, everyone. We'll be back for a couple more episodes next year for the year in review, and also the me and Snickers tiebreaker Candyland game. So
Can I be an official in that?
you certainly can.
Oh, let's go.
But we'll see you all next week.